Well, for many Connecticut cities and towns, these are really rough times, at least in the short term, due to the state's budget problems and the expected cuts in financial aid. New Britain, no exception to that.
The local Board of Taxation and Finance this week presented a budget. Get this. Even though it calls for a hiring freeze and spending cuts, it would still require a tax increase of over 10%. Can the mayor and the city council make enough cuts to keep taxes from rising again?
Well, the mayor is here, so let's ask her. Mayor Stewart, thank you so much for coming on our program. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
What they gave you, what they threw in your lap.
Oh, dear, huh? Well, I guess it's nothing new. And I guess I have to talk about, you know, when I first took office in 2013, I walked into a $30 million operating deficit that the city of New Britain was facing, and hence why your introduction, when you talked about having to raise taxes, unfortunately, we cut almost $16 million from city government. We raised revenues or raised taxes to make up the others. And then the next year we went back and we cut almost $20 million out of pending projects that we had in order to save money. We're cutting. So I anticipate having to do the same again this year.
Well, you're going to cut schools? You can't?
Can't cut schools. State of Connecticut prevents, you cannot cut funding from schools because of the MBR. But, you know, you have to look at alternative ways of making revenue, right? So how much more can you cut? And look, this is not new for cities and towns across the state. Cities, really. I mean, you look at what's happening with Hartford and Bridgeport and Waterbury, we're all in the same boat. You know, we're not making enough money to meet the needs of the services we have to provide for our residents.
And is it difficult with the cuts from the state aid?
Yeah, so it's interesting because we're not really sure right now, right? We're in limbo. Everybody's in limbo right now. We don't know what's happening with the state. The budget that the governor did put forth shows that New Britain would get an increase in certain areas, but it's very difficult to tell what those areas are. Is it education? Is it infrastructure? Is it pilot? Are they eliminating pilot money? We're not sure. So it's going to be a long session, that's for sure. But that affects my ability to make our city budget. So it's a waiting game, and you almost have to take a best guess, right?
Which is tough because a million things could change, right? They might add more money here, but something else gets taken away.
It makes it very difficult. So we have to be very, very conservative in our budget approach. I will take what the Board of Finance gave me, and I need to get that down to nothing. New Britain's mill rate is 50.5.
Oh.
It is very high, and it is unfortunate because we need our police department, we need our fire department, we have to pay for our schools. We're one of the most underfunded school districts in the state. We're part of that lawsuit, the CJEF lawsuit, because of it.
And you have a lot of tax exempt property.
Oh, 48% of all property in New Britain is tax exempt. 48%.
That's sort of like Hartford, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, we make the comparisons where, you know, I've talked to Mayor Bronin, and we're kind of, you know, we commiserate with one another too, because we're in the same boat. You know, while New Britain is smaller at 75,000 people, we still have large city problems too. But it's how you deal with it.
What about sharing resources? Because I know that's something that Mayor Bronin's kind of brought up and talked about. You know, what's your view on that?
Regionalism, the scary R word that everybody in the state of Connecticut is afraid of, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to get over that initial hump, right? Where you have to go to maybe just that one community that you can partner with on something very small and make something happen. So even just as last week.
What would that one be? Well,
let's talk about what we're trying to do in New Britain. We're going to our neighbors in Berlin, and something very small, animal control, right? So we're in the process of talking right now about how to join forces with our animal control operations and facilities. And yes, we've had conversations. We're not there yet. Again, like I said, you got to get over that hump because that regionalism word scares everybody.
Farmington?
Oh, yeah, I haven't gone to Farmington yet. Berlin's a natural. Berlin was a natural because they're right there. We share a stadium.
You have to deliver your. Yeah, you do. That's right. Yeah.
That's going to be one of our next topics.
That's the next.
Well.
So how are you going to do this? You have to give your budget message on the 12th of April, right?
I present my budget on the 12th of April.
Okay, so that gives you a month to do something.
It gives me a month.
Where do you start?
I know.
I have a good idea. I have a very good idea. There's a lot of areas, too, that the Board of Finance and Taxation can't really do much with. Right. You know, they can't negotiate with unions to eliminate positions. They can't talk about, you know, how much we're going to pay in our pensions and whatnot. Not that you want to mess around with those things.
Well, have you done that before? Have you gone to that well before? Because the way the state has with the state employees? And so how difficult is that going to be to go back?
One of the best things that I have is a great relationship with all of our union presidents and our employees. And it's unfortunate, but they know that tough times are coming. They know what's happening at the state. They know that obviously we want everybody to keep their job too.
Sure.
And so we have some ideas coming forward about what we may have to do, and maybe that's not layoffs. Maybe that's, you know, healthcare costs or pension costs. Maybe we need to restructure some of the way we look at those things. What the city of New Britain is doing is not uncommon for what many other cities and towns across the state should be doing, and arguably the state itself too.
Trying to find sustainability moving forward.
And you have to find not those one-time revenues also. You need that consistency year after year after year.
Let's talk baseball. All right, the New Britain Bees.
My favorite topic.
I know season's coming up. You looking forward to the season?
Oh, absolutely. Opening day is on April 21st, so I'll be there. I got to get my arm ready. Throw out the first pitch.
Are you going to throw out the first pitch?
Yeah, I've been doing that.
I do that. I throw it in the dirt every time.
I got pretty lucky last year. It was good. I can't say it was a perfect pitch, but it was pretty good. But yeah, April 21st is their home opener. We'll be excited to welcome them here for their second season. They have a new general manager this year, and I'll say a new name, but not really. It's an old New Britain name, Jerry Berthium, who is back.
He's coming back.
He was actually the general manager for the New Britain Red Sox, believe it or not, when the Red Sox were in the city of New Britain. So we're really happy to welcome him back, and he's going to do great things for the Bees this year.
I want you to keep that smile on your face and talk about economic development in New Britain. What's going on?
Yeah, I certainly can. That I can. So it's tough, right? In the state of Connecticut, you hear a lot of people talk about how difficult it is to find developments, especially private market developments to come in. But in New Britain, we are very lucky. Because of CT Fast Track, and I will give it credit to that, we have seen...
After everybody hand the bus, that's a waste of money.
I'm telling you, it has been a blessing for the city of New Britain. It really has. And I was a skeptic of it at first, too. Don't get me wrong. I didn't think that it was the right thing. But then you start seeing the opportunities that we've had because of it, and because of the amount of people who we have utilize it. We have a large population of people they rely on public transit. Not only that, I've got a large population of college students that like to use it to get back and forth to Hartford, right? So the buses are packed. They really are. And because of that, we're seeing a new area in downtown New Britain, $58 million private development called Columbus Commons. It's going to be 140 units with first floor retail. We're so excited, hopefully, to be breaking ground on that, knock on wood, by the fall.
All right, you're running for election. Is this going to be your third term?
Third term. Can you believe I've been here for 4 years already? I can't. I don't know.
You have a Democrat running against you, right? Merrill Gay.
I actually don't know yet.
I don't know if it's official. He's got a committee.
Officially filed yet. We have one, but it's not. You know, he's a petitioning candidate, and
no Republican going to challenge you.
No,
as far as you know.
As far as I know, I hope not.
That wouldn't be tasteful.
I hope not.
And we've asked you this before, but your name always gets tossed around as someone running for higher office. Obviously, you're running for mayor, you know, for this next term, but the term after that, that's still open for you, I would assume, at points.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't want to rule anything out. It's an honor. You know, it's really flattering to be mentioned and thrown on a statewide level. I'm certainly, you know, taking that seriously. It's something to absolutely consider. The state of Connecticut is in a lot of trouble, and if I can bring some of my talents up there when the time is right, then we'll certainly consider it. But that's a big life change, right?
No,
it was a big life change for me to run for mayor. It would be an even bigger one to run for governor.
Following in your dad's footsteps.
Oh, yes.
Getting the phone ringing all the time.
Oh, yes.
What'd you do that for?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you do this?
Like any father and daughter relationship, right?
It's a unique one.
It is very unique. It is.
Thank you, Mayor Erin Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, so much.
Appreciate
it.
Thanks.